Hi everyone. Just continuing on with my testimony. Now it's just been raining here today. I'm in a place called Juliusdale in Nyanga in Zimbabwe. So the lighting, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the lighting. It might not be very good. I'll try my best. Plus it's actually drizzling at the moment, so I'm not sure if I can actually finish this today. We'll see what happens. Might have to go and sit in the car to finish the video off. So last time I mentioned how I grew up in a very abusive and dysfunctional family, with me being the firstborn, 4 other brothers behind me. So at the age of 16, we moved house, and the house that my parents purchased had a swimming pool. And around the time we were staying at that house, we had one of my aunts came to visit us. My aunt from my dad's side came to visit us, and I only learned of this later, but this aunt of mine was inciting my dad to be violent towards us as a family, especially towards my mom. But some of the violence was also against me and my brothers. A lot of the violence that occurred when I was growing up was mostly, in terms of me and my siblings, it was mostly towards me and my brother who follows me. We got most of the beatings. So around the time that this aunt of mine was visiting us, she, I don't know why, but perhaps she didn't like my mom or something. But like I said earlier, she was encouraging my dad to be physically abusive towards my mom. So one day, I mentioned the issue of the swimming pool, that we had a swimming pool at that house. So it was my responsibility, as well as my younger brother who follows me. It was our responsibility to put chemicals in the pool and to clean it. So around the time that this aunt of mine was staying with us, my dad came home with one of his friends, and he didn't even properly enter the house. He just opened the door. The main door, the front door, actually led into the kitchen. He opened the front door and he called me and asked whether I had put chemicals in the pool. And when I said no, I got the biggest slap of my life, and I was hit with so much force that I actually fell backwards onto my back. And then when my dad walked past me, I assumed he was going to get a belt so he could belt me, but I ran out of the house past his friend who was still standing by the door. I ran out. It was actually nighttime, and I ran out, and I think I ran and walked for more than 10 k's, I think, and I went and sat in a bus stop and started crying. Around that time, especially because of that incident, I started having suicidal thoughts. I just wanted to end my life because I pretty much had enough. I mean, that wasn't the only beating that I'd had with me and my brothers and my mom. Had had many beatings previous to that. But yeah, I'm grateful that I didn't go through with it. But even at the age of 17 as well, there was still a lot of abuse. I remember that even when we moved from that house to a different house, my dad continued to be very abusive towards us as a family. I did continue to have thoughts of committing suicide, but maybe it wasn't. I didn't go through with it. So the abuse wasn't just physical; it was also verbal as well. We used to be called stupid and bastards, and I'll just say to the parents out there, be careful what you say to your children, because some of the very harsh words that we say to our children sometimes, they can have a very negative effect on them. For instance, if you tell a child that they're useless, that can affect them in school and even at work later on in life. At work, it can affect them, because if you tell someone they're useless or stupid, they'll start thinking that they are stupid or useless. So we should be very careful what we say. I mean, even the Bible warns many times, especially in the book of Proverbs, about how the words that we speak have an effect on others. And I think there's a verse where it says something along the lines of that the tongue is one of the hardest things to tame, because with the same mouth you can praise God, but with the same mouth or tongue you can curse someone. Yeah. So something else that happened at the age of 17 is that this is after we moved house. We moved from the house with the pool, moved to a plot where my parents were actually trying to build a house. I remember my dad called me, and my mom was standing next to him, and he, without explaining what he was doing or why he was doing it, he proceeded to cut my hand with a razor, and then put some juju on it. Now, just bear in mind that as a child, because of how my parents were, it's almost like when certain things were done, you had no choice. And because of all the abuse I'd been subjected to, I just couldn't verbalize myself sometimes to say I didn't want something, and it's almost like that choice wasn't there. So as a family that went to church, it just makes me wonder what the point of doing that was, because as Christians we should, God should be our protector, because I found out later on that some of these things of cutting children with razors and applying juju on them is done for protection, but our only protection should be God. We should not be fearful of anything else or anyone else. Also, whilst we were staying at that plot, it was actually a plot where my parents were trying to build a house, so there was no permanent building. All we had on the plot were what are called Wendy houses, like wooden houses, which you're supposed to stay in temporarily as the house is being built. One of my aunts from my mum's side, my uncle's wife, came to visit us and was staying with us. Me and my brother, my younger brother who follows me, we were actually sleeping in a separate building, and this aunt of mine visited me at night. She must have cast some kind of spell on me, because I couldn't really. Obviously, at the age of 17, I was quite strong. I mean, and I could afford to off, but I couldn't. She was sitting on my chest and she was holding both my arms. Uh, you know, she was facing my head. Um, so I think what's supposed to happen with people who practice witchcraft is that when they cast a spell on you, you're not supposed to remember the next day. But in the midst of fighting this aunt of mine, while she was attacking me at night, I must have cut my nose. Maybe I cut my nose with my nails or something. So the next day, someone said to me, "What happened to your nose?" And I'd actually forgotten what had happened the previous night. But when someone said, "What happened to your nose?" I think I looked myself in the mirror, and then that's when I remembered that this aunt of mine had attacked me during the night, and one of the things that she did to keep me quiet and to not tell anyone is that she bought me and my brother some ice cream, because there used to be these ice cream vendors that used to go past. Um, it's quite common in Zimbabwe that you have ice cream vendors that go past houses, and they ring a bell to let you know that they're going past. So she bought us ice cream to keep us quiet, and I never told anyone. Even my brother. I never asked my brother whether he'd been attacked or not, but I did tell my mum later on in life when I think when I was in my 20s, I told her. So that incident kind of helped me to experience firsthand this issue of the supernatural that we hear quite a lot about in Africa. But the interesting thing is that even when I went to England, I also heard of that that Europeans also take part in witchcraft, and it's actually quite prevalent. In fact, as I continued to study and search for truth, I found out. I started reading and watching documentaries about Freemasonry, and my understanding initially of Freemasonry was that it was a secret society. But as I studied more and more, I found that Freemasonry is actually it's a form of witchcraft. So I found that very interesting. Just so I don't forget, later on when I moved out, I'll get to that part later on. But when I moved out from home and started staying by myself, one of the places where I was lodging, the landlady also attacked me at night as well. Same thing. She came into my bedroom. I don't know how they do it. She must have gone through the wall or something, and attacked me also as I was sleeping. And she sat on my tummy, on my chest, and she was attacking me. Very, very evil. So anyway, later on we moved house again. A completely different place. It was slightly outside the capital city, kind of in a rural setting. And whilst there, there was an incident that happened which caused me to move out from home. So I was 24 years when this happened. I remember it very clearly. What happened once again is that my mom found out that my dad had girlfriends in that same area where we were staying, and she basically threatened to leave him. So they had an argument at home, and then my mom walked out of the house, saying that she was leaving, and my dad followed her, and basically my dad ended up beating up my mom. He wanted to beat my mom up. He attacked my mom in the garden, and I actually had to tackle him to the ground to stop him. And my three of my brothers were there. One of my brothers wasn't there. He was at university. But when this incident happened, the neighbors were actually watching. They were outside, and when my mom went outside, my dad followed, and we all followed outside. We found that the neighbors were actually watching, so perhaps they had heard the noise or the argument whilst it was happening in the house, and maybe they went outside to try and see what was happening. So when we all went outside,